Moin, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Germany's Scholz says US tariffs fundamentally wrong. Now, I've seen a lot of comments, mainly from MAGA people and Trump supporters, that Trump's grand plan is to this plan of mutually assured economic destruction, at least temporary, like a temporary mutual destruction of, like, economically, right? So I think his game is, if that was the case, like, Trump may have a plan, doesn't mean it's a good plan, but he may have a plan. I know Scholz isn't necessarily popular either. Friedrich Merz, when would he take over exactly? Let's get to this. Check out the video.
Now in Germany, Europe's biggest economy, the Chancellor Olaf Scholz has called the new U.S. tariffs fundamentally wrong. For more on reaction from there, now let's bring in our Berlin correspondent, Nick Holdsworth. I mean, Nick, those are some strong words there from Olaf Scholz, but he did also say Europe was open to further...
Fundamentally wrong. It's not like super strong words. Like, I don't know if I would use the phrase, those are some strong words, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
He did also say Europe was open to further talks. Germany kind of walking on both sides of the fence now.
Well, absolutely. The outgoing Trade Minister, Robert Habeck, has actually likened the impact of these tariffs to the kind of impact that the Russian launch of the invasion of Ukraine had on Europe 3 years ago, saying that Germany really had to look at what it could do to limit the damage from this, and also what it could do to talk with America. I mean, there's an idea already afloat that the EU could discuss a free trade zone with America. That may be wishful thinking, but, you know, the argument is, look, we'll have zero tariffs on our goods going to the States, and you put zero tariffs on your goods coming to us, and it's a win-win for everything, for everyone. But that may not appeal to Donald Trump at the moment, who seems to see the world in zero terms, zero-sum terms.
Well, there's a reason he said he thought tariffs were the most beautiful word in the English language. I guess he really likes tariffs.
That there are winners and losers in every deal, whereas actually the world economy is a lot more complex than that. And as Olaf Scholz himself said this morning, this is going to indeed hurt the American economy. There are certain goods where there are parts and components that are going back and forth, he said, 100 times on any particular item.
Trump doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care if Americans are going to lose their jobs. If his big goal is to bring back some semblance of manufacturing, at least in certain industries, how does that happen overnight? Like, I'm just curious what him and his administration, his advisors, what the plan really is. Is it to bring back some jobs, some low-paying jobs, because at that point the economies and those industries are going to be struggling? And it's just, there's so many things, there's so many moving parts that have to go back and forth. It's crazy.
We've also heard that America tends to be a high wage economy, tends to make high value added goods, importing a lot of the smaller components, screws and other small parts that it's not worth making themselves. And if they have to start making those themselves, it's going to cost more. In some cases, particularly with chips, for example, they just don't have the trained workers to produce computer chips at the higher standards that the Asians produce them at. So, I mean, it's going to be something which Europe has to respond to, but it's going to be something which, in the short to medium term, may very well impact the American economy first.
Nick, Germany, of course, is the biggest economy in Europe. Where might it be hit the...
When Trump poses for pictures and does things like that, I always find it's crazy. Like, it's absurd. But it's like a car crash. You kind of are interested by it. The funniest one is when he was at a event in Europe. I don't know if any of you guys remember this, and he like grabbed people to like pull himself and make sure he was at the front, and then he like like, he's such a narcissist. Like, it's almost comical. But
the hardest with these tariffs?
Well, certainly in the auto sector makes up a very large part of Germany's trade surplus with the States. It has about a 70 billion euro trade surplus with America every year, and indeed America makes up about a fifth of all of the EU's non-EU exports overall, and that's a similar figure in Germany. And we've already seen stocks in German.
So basically, the U.S. and Germany are big trading partners. So it's just hurting them both for like in the meantime. We'll see what happens throughout April. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how everything plays out. Markets are way down, like stock markets have, I think they were essentially crashing. So people with retirement funds and things like that, they're going to see big dips. Yeah, I don't know. I'm certainly not super knowledgeable on investments and things. I don't know if it's prescient right now to potentially buy stock. Like, I don't know. People can make money.
Car makers, including Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche dropping today between 1% and 2%. We've seen Mercedes-Benz saying that it's looking at discontinuing certain lower margin imported models, and German car makers, including Volkswagen, have already increased the prices of cars they're selling in America and temporarily halted imports from Mexico and imports from Europe to America. So it's already having an effect. And as I just said, in the immediate short term, American buyers of German cars are going to be paying considerably more. America doesn't export that many cars to Europe. The Europeans don't like the larger gas guzzling American models, and indeed Americans like the German and European models, particularly with the changeover to electrical vehicles. Some of these German-made cars are still petrol or diesel-driven, and Americans like to buy those. So it's going to impact Europe. It's going to impact Germany.
Yeah, cars in the U.S., prices will go up 15-20% probably on each model, right? I would guess.
Germany's had 2 years of recession already.
Huge tariffs.
This comes at a very bad time. The prospective incoming Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, wants to improve the German economy in the next 4 years, certainly wants to do that to hold back the surge in the far-right support we've seen in the last couple of elections here. And this is going to complicate matters politically and economically for the Germans.
In his research, Dr. Morrison identified...
Yeah, cool. Interesting segment. And he talked there at the end about Merz trying to curb, or at least acknowledging and keeping an eye on, I guess you could say, the surge of the far right. But what do you guys think? You can let me know your thoughts down below. I see quite a few comments often in relation to the AfD, and they'll defend them basically saying, well, you've been brainwashed by the mainstream media. In this segment, you have to listen to what the AfD actually says. They're not really far right. They're just conservative, or they're not really far right. They're just center right leaning. Yeah, I don't know. Comments, let me know. I always read most of the comments. I try. It's interesting. So do it for the algorithm, and yeah, let's get popping, baby. See you soon. Tschüss.